Okay, so it's so nice to meet you guys. Yeah, we do have quite a range of people here. So before I talk about my job, actually, I want to do a quick introduction just to talk a little bit about myself so you guys can kind of know who I am as a person. Instead of bullet points, though, I wanted to go through pictures because I found that pictures can sometimes be a little more engaging, especially since you guys have been in classes all week already. So we'll start from the left all the way to the right. You guys see that picture with the three little girls and the chi paos doing the little kung fu pose? That's me and my sisters. So I'm the middle child. I have one older sister and one younger sister. And I actually was born in New Jersey, but I grew up in China because my parents were missionaries there. So that's kind of with the whole kung fu pose. I think we maybe just watched a kung fu movie. And since then, I've actually gone to boarding school in Taiwan. I studied for college in Baylor University, all the way in Waco, Texas. Then I studied abroad in Paris for 1 year, and then I went all the way back to Texas to finish out, and now I'm working in Houston in business sales. I work in business sales, and when you first think about sales, I don't even know if I want to ask you guys what you think, because sometimes people don't have the best thought when they think about sales. At least I didn't. When I first thought about sales, I thought about the car salesman. You know, the person who's in a car shop or in a store saying, hey, you got to buy this. And they're like shoving something in your face, like, hey, you got to buy this right now. And that's what I first thought of when I thought about sales. So when I first saw sales as a first career, I was like, I don't know if I want to do this. So the first myth, they're all product pushers, not to be trusted. They're just going to shove something in your face. The second thought that I had is that sales is only for people that are super, super extroverted. You have to have a personality where you can talk at 1,000,000 miles a minute. And if you're not like that, then don't even consider sales. The third myth that I had was that sales isn't respectable. Again, maybe salespeople are just the people that, the annoying cold calls that you get, where they're trying to sell you something over the phone, or there's just, it's not necessarily the best job that you might want to have. So these are some thoughts that I had going into sales, and maybe some of you haven't even thought about sales before, but when you do think about sales, maybe this is what you're thinking about. And that's how it was for me anyways. So like I said, Elaine mentioned, she was actually my mentor. I met her in high school, but we really started talking in college, and she was the one that introduced me to sales at AT&T. That's where I work. And so through this, it was through some conversations with her and through my own experience that I actually learned none of these aren't actually true. For the first one, all salespeople are product pushers, not to be trusted. I actually do something called consultative selling. So I learned that the worst type of sales, what they teach us to not do on day one, is to not be a product pusher. They tell us to actually listen to our customers in my type of sales. We often start with having meetings where you learn about the customer, you learn about what their business is doing, you ask them what are your needs, where are the gaps? And essentially you think of us salespeople as being a bridge between what the need is and the solution. So that's really what sales is. I'm not trying to push something on you that you don't need. I'm really just trying to bridge you to the thing that you do need. And if you don't need the product, then you're not a customer and it's not a big deal. It is what it is. And there can be good lawyers, there can be bad lawyers, there can be good doctors, there can be unethical doctors. And likewise, there can be good salespeople and unethical salespeople. And at the end of the day, it's not so much the specific profession that you choose, it's really how you go about your profession. You can choose to try to sell someone they don't need, or you can try to really listen to them and say, hey, is this something that you need? Is this something that can help you? Maybe I can sell them a higher price, but because of what I believe in, I've actually chose to give someone a lesser expensive product because I knew that would fit their needs better and their budget. And in the end, they were grateful to me because I was honest with them and they came back and had a bigger sale for me. So these things really do happen. The second myth is that sales is only for the super extroverted people. I talked a little bit about my background, how I grew up with a little bit of anxiety or worry as a person. And that's because I actually used to be very, very shy. When I was in middle school, I think was it Ruth that said she liked literature. I was like that too. I was a big bookworm. I don't know if you're like that, Ruth, but when I was little, I just liked to sit in my room and read books. And I was like, nobody talk to me, And when we had youth camps, I didn't even want to go hang out with the kids. I was like, Mom and Dad, I just want to stay in my room and read. So that was me. I was not very extroverted as a kid. But it was actually as I started growing, I read books about communication. I talked with mentors, I talked with my parents, I made a lot more friends. And eventually I learned how to be a lot better at communication. So now I consider myself what we call an ambivert, so halfway between an extrovert and an introvert. I'm kind of in the middle. I can be introverted and spend time on myself and be very happy baking cakes and reading books, playing with my dog. Or I can be extroverted and I love hanging out with friends as well. So it really depends on how you grow as a person, and we have all kinds of people in sales. Sometimes though, they say introverted people can make great salespeople because they're sometimes better at listening. Let's be honest, they're better at hearing or observing people sometimes. And so maybe it makes them better at being able to relate with the introverted customers. So you don't always have to be a certain personality type for sales. The last one, sales and respectable. Well, that myth was debunked pretty quickly when I first started my job. Did you guys know that some of your most famous CEOs actually started out in sales? So he's a little bit older for y'all, but Warren Buffett, I'm sure you guys have heard of him. He started off in sales. I had other couple names. If you just Google CEOs that started off in sales, you see quite a few that actually started out in sales. And the reason why a lot of CEOs or a lot of people higher up start in sales is because when you're in sales, you learn all about the business, but you also really learn about not taking things personally, because people say no all the time, but they also say yes, of course, but you get a lot of no's. You learn to have a much thicker skin, so you're not as easily offended by people. You're able to pick up things quickly and move quickly. So the skills that you develop when you take sales early on in your career, it actually helps you a lot with, people skills, being able to move quickly, being able to learn how to communicate, all at a very quick pace. And you often have to learn about products also really quickly and learn how to talk about them. So it's actually a really good place to start off in your career, especially if you're looking to move into any sort of management in the future.